Welcome to my photo shopping live stream where we go online together and look for deals. And I try to cherry pick a few deals that I think are pretty good. And also, if you have any questions or if you're looking for any kind of gear, camera, lenses, accessories, I can help you find some good deals on those as well or give you some recommendations. And sorry, I started a few minutes late today again, as always, but I was out this morning doing some shooting with my Leica here and um, this little Insta 360, which I'm charging back up. This is a good little camera. Maybe I'll show you some pictures later that I took from this morning. They're totally just on the computer. I haven't processed them at all, but there's that. And I see Robert's here and Paul is here and Paul Crisp and Paul Mashak. Good morning. And Erna, good to see you. Uh, yeah, Paul, you got the newer flashes. Those are great. The Pro versions are pretty awesome. I reviewed the Canon. I think it was a Canon version of the Pro, and it was terrific. Having better heat management, so the fire longer, and a lot of things that you only appreciate if you really push the flashes to their limits. But uh, at that price point, uh, it doesn't make sense to buy is something more expensive or the same price if it's not as capable. And another nice thing about the Pro versions is you can use them as they're compatible with Godot's triggers. So if you have a Godot's radio trigger, you can fire that flash. Now, I don't think the reverse is true. I don't think you can use that flash to fire other Godot's flashes, but I know you can fire using a Godot's trigger to fire the Pro versions, not the non-pros. So those are great. And let's see. Ernest says, when you shoot with high ISO, is it better to overexpose or underexpose? It's one of the two. Underexpose. Yeah. You want the image to be a little bit darker if you're going to shoot at higher ISO, and then you can try and raise the shadows. I mean, I guess it really depends on what you're prioritizing, right? If you don't care about the highlights and you want better shadows, uh, less noise in the shadows, then overexpose a little bit, right? But if you want to save your highlights, you want to underexpose a little bit because the dynamic range kind of shrinks as you raise the ISO. I don't know what the ratio is, but the higher the ISO, the more stops of dynamic range you lose. And typically on digital cameras, highlights are kind of the ones you want to preserve. And the shadow detail you can recover quite a bit. And then, of course, using DxO or some other noise reduction software can make a big difference there. But no noise reduction software can recover highlights. Most noise reduction software, when you raise the shadows and you get a lot of noise, it'll minimize that quite a bit. And good morning, AJ. I'm not helping with your gas today, huh? Okay. So let's go to my deal page. Let me pull that up. I think, yeah, right here. So I kind of scrambled a little bit this morning, but I did do a lot of additions and subtractions to my deal page yesterday, and I just wanted to point out a few things. Here's a six-stop ND filter for basically $12, and I'm a big proponent of always, you know, ND filters, polarizers, tripods, uh, camera bags, and backpacks. These are things you're just going to need, right? No matter what kind of photography you do, really. Um, so whenever I find a deal on any of these, particularly these kinds of items, I try to highlight them. This is a six-stop ND filter, so this is a good number. That's it's kind of in between what I would use for, say, flash photography, where I want to stop the lens down and use flash and avoid using high-speed sync. And borderline daytime long exposure. You really need a 10-stop ND filter if you want really long exposures, like 30 seconds to a minute. Uh, but this will be great for 5, 10 second exposures, like a 6-stop ND filter. Uh, if you don't have one built in. And in addition to that, if you do have like the live ND that we have in our OM system cameras, you can add this on top of that and get even longer exposures on bright days. So it's not a bad filter to have in your bag, and it's a good deal if you just want one. You can buy whole sets of them. There was a set on sale for $12 where you got like 5 ND filters, but that's gone now. So the other thing I want to emphasize is when you see a deal, a lot of times you have to act on it pretty fast. I'll show you some other examples as we go along because they were such good deals. Um, and these are just kind of nice to haves. This is kind of the category of camera bags, but even a TG5, it's nice to kind of keep it, uh, in a nice little package, ready to go with your batteries and memory cards and cables and accessories. This is all you need a lot of times when you go out with the TG 5, 6, 7, any of the TG cameras. This is nice. Um, if you have lens accessories like the LED and flash adapters. And this one for $10, this is designed for uh the sorry, I'm having a brain fart. What do you call it? Gimbals, okay? However, let me I'm gonna skip this one. These are designed for gimbals, but it should be Arca Swiss compatible here and also down here. So this makes for using as a nice nodal rail for wide angle lenses because a lot of nodal rails, they're a little bit too long. And if you use a wide angle lens, you're going to get the nodal rail in the shot. So having a shorter nodal rail is necessary sometimes. So this is one of those things that it's kind of like if you need one, you need it. It's not a must-have accessory. Because a lot of times with wide angle lenses, the wider they are, the less you really need to adjust for the nodal point. And I'm talking about doing panoramas and 360 type panoramas where it's a full 360-degree rotation, and also for very wide, you know, 180-degree parallel, or horizontal panoramas. If you're using a wide angle lens, you need a short nodal rail to access the nodal point. So this is a good substitute because I have a longer one, but I can't use it with my wide angle lenses. You could argue, why would you use a wide angle lens to do panoramas? But wide angle lenses are really useful for doing super wide panoramas up to 360 degrees where you're capturing the whole thing. And you need a shorter nodal rail. Unlike like this one here, this is better for your longer lenses, right? Uh, and so you need one or the other. You really need both, right? If you're serious about your panoramas, you need to have a variety of these plates. So when they go on sale, it's not a bad idea to pick one up to have in your bag. So when you need it, you have it, and you can use the lens that you want. Okay, and there's a lot of adapters on sale. This is one that I picked out because I know some of you have Nikon Z mount cameras. You can mount your Nikon F glass, AI and F glass to your Nikon Z mount camera for $15. Looks like there's another 10% coupon here, so make sure you always check for additional coupons down in the description here. But that's a great deal for an adapter. Hogue is a fine brand. I've used their stuff. A lot of their stuff is fine. No issues at all. Uh, but okay, so there's that. And then coming down here, this is another accessory, a battery that, it's 99 watts. So it's a pretty good capacity for $68.84. It's very simple. It just has a one USB-A port, one USB-C port up to 100 watts, and then a standard 12-volt port. Uh, so if you have a relatively simplified setup where you're not trying to use this battery to power multiple devices, you're just going to attach it to your rig, maybe one light using the 12 volt, and then the USB-C powering the camera, and then you have a USB-A port there, maybe to power the microphone. So this is a really inexpensive battery that will do the job, right? And that's how most people use their V mount batteries. They're not trying to use it as a multiple like a power bank, right? Where it's powering multiple devices, four or five things at the same time, batteries, etc. This is mainly for mounting onto the back of it's funny, they don't even show a picture of like really what the intent is, but uh, this is ideal for setting up on rigs. See if they even have a picture of what I'm talking about. Yeah, something like this, or it's attached to like a major type of rig. So if you've been shopping V-mount batteries, you know this is a really good deal. Okay, so here's a couple of tripods from Mosisu. Mosisu's they're more known in the past for their bags and shoulder bags and backpacks, but they do have a variety of tripods. Of course, these are generic, and they're just branded with their name on it. You can find these tripods under multiple names. But I picked out a couple here that are pretty good deal. When you're in the under $40 for a tripod that has a metal ball head, you're doing pretty good. The main difference between these two are size, right? This one's taller, it's 77 inches, so it's almost a foot taller. And this one here is just 64. But the trade-off is one, it's going to compact down a little bit shorter in the end, right? So if you need a little bit more compact size for travel, you want to get the 64 inch. But if you're backpacking it, you can probably go with the 77 inch and save a few bucks while you're at it. And they both have monopod conversion type legs. Here's another set of batteries. You know, this is relatively new, and this is for the Canon shooters, right? That you have the larger, mirrorless cameras, the R5, R5 Mark II, etc. These, this is a relatively inexpensive way to get a couple of batteries and a decent charger that you can take with you, put it in your bag, and your batteries will be protected from, touching anything else, because you'll notice on this battery there's exposed pins. So, uh, when you travel with your batteries, a lot of times you have to put them in a case or something, but this is a case and charger all in one. Also, it looks like a little slot there for something, micro USB or something. I would just ignore that part of it, but yeah, this is for traveling, and it has the cable. Let's see. Anything else kind of fancy about this? Looks like the cable's kind of built into it. Maybe, yeah. It's not really clear in the photos. That's neither here nor there. The main thing is that it's a case and a charger all in one. Let's see the speed. Fully charges the battery in 2.5 hours. So these are 2,700 milliamps, so it's doing 1 amps at 5 volts. So yeah, it's not a super fast charger, but not bad, right? It looks like they're delivering 10 watts. It doesn't really say. Yeah, I would imagine these are 10-watt chargers. Hence the price. With the coupon, it's like $27, right? And I found a lot of these lens hoods on sale, a lot of them for Fuji in particular. This is probably going to be the most used one here. For the 16, this is their new lens, the 16 to 55 f2.8. So if you did get that lens together with your Fujifilm as a kit, This is a nice way to compact down your lens hood because the lens hood that comes with it is, kind of bulky, right? Relatively speaking, it's one of those flip over bayonet styles. This will compact down and give you a nice clean look to your camera lens, and protect the front element and reduce glare and reflections, all that good stuff, just as effectively, but in a smaller form factor, and it's half price. So definitely, that's if you're a Fujifilm shooter with the 33 millimeter f1.4, which is a lens that I have, uh, that's not a bad deal. Okay, this is a high-speed charger. This is a 20-watt charger. Okay, so this gonna if you shoot with the Sony NPF W50 batteries, that's the smaller one of the two. So generally for these cameras, right? They're APS-C cameras, going all the way back to an NEX6 up to their full frame A7R2. So the full frames, the older ones use the smaller batteries. So if you have an older full frame or an APS-C camera from Sony, this is a terrific charger. Dual charger, fast. Um, the only thing I don't, I wish it had a cover, right? Like so that you could take your batteries with you on to go, but it doesn't look like it. But it has an aluminum casing. It's a quality charger, desktop type charger. So I would definitely, at this price point, this is a great deal. Okay, let me just finish off this row. I'll talk about this tripod a little later. This is another one from Elano. This is their older style, but this is more of a travel type. Now, this green one is on sale. You may be able to get another 20% off. But this is for the Fujifilm, the smaller battery for the Fujifilm, right? The W126. A lot of their cameras use that. The X100Vs, the XM5, the XT30s. This is a terrific charger. Uh, I use mine all the time. I have the Sony version, and it is wonderful. So definitely get this for 20 bucks. That's a steal. Who cares what the color is, right? Okay, and then now this is your basic charger. Uh, $18, you're getting two spare batteries. These are generics, and a basic charger, right? So can't complain. I have something similar to this that I keep in my car. So when I'm on the go, if I'm gonna, I have, I think it's for my OM1 and OM3. I have a basic charger like this in my car. And then I have, the spare batteries I keep in the house and I charge them at home on the home charger. But I keep these in the car, and you can take these with you with a little power bank and put them in your bag and charge batteries on the go as well. So $18, to get two batteries and a charger that you can throw in your car and travel with or keep in your bag so you can charge batteries, while you're on the go is great. Okay, so let me stop here. I'm going to check the chat section real quick. And then I want to get into some other stuff there. Oh, AJ is here. Good to see you. And Greg, good to see you. So that's one. Oops, I don't know why I went off screen there. The S12 is the newest uh recently came out camera, 24 megapixel, high performance camera from Panasonic. I'm not that familiar with that camera because I'm thinking about the S1R Mark II. But by all accounts, the S12 is a terrific camera. But what really stands out with the Panasonic L mount cameras is the lenses that you can get for it. The lenses are stellar uh, at amazing pricing. You can get an 85 1.8 for less than 500 bucks. OEM, Lumix branded. you know, virtually like a quality in my opinion. The 50 millimeter 1.8 35. This trinity of lenses uh, are just amazing, and you will not believe the clarity and I mean, they're very clinical lenses. They're clinically sharp, corner to corner, no aberrations. I'm going to get back in the L mount system one day. I have to kind of get past the cameras I have now a little bit, use them a little more before I move on to another. Not move on, but add another system to my shelf here. Uh, when I see a good deal on an S1R Mark II, I almost got one a couple of weeks ago. I should have got it. I can't find that. I can't find anything close to that deal now. But I could have got it for less than 2,400 bucks. Used, but in mint condition, obviously, because it's a brand new camera. Oh, I'm kicking myself for not getting that. But anyhow, any any of the cameras, if you don't care about phase detect and video autofocus, you can even get the original S5 to get into the system. And it has high-res shot mode, focus stacking, it has all the normal features. And now I guess with the new app, you can do LUTs, not necessarily in camera on the older ones, but you can load the images, I guess, into the app and apply the LUTs, something like that. I forget what this recent announcement is with Lumix, but they did a lot of work on their app and uh, a lot of improvements there. So definitely, it's a great system to be in. If you want to get into the Lumix system, it's it's probably the best value out there, hands down. And the quality of the lenses is unmatched at the price points that they're asking. Because like we know, our OM System Pro Glass and Sony's G Master and Canon's L Glass, they're all super expensive. And I would pit any of the Lumix S Glass, their standard, $300-400 lenses against anything at any price point. And I would challenge anyone to tell me otherwise, that those lenses aren't good. Okay, and Paul says, I see there's some brackets coming out for cameras that you can put an Apple AirTag into. So far, there are flat generic brackets, like from SmallRig. Any L brackets with, oh, I have not seen one. I have seen what you're talking about, the little AirTag things. Uh, but I'm not looking too hard because I'm not an Apple guy, right? But I'll keep an eye out for it. But an L bracket for a Z8 with an AirTag. I mean, I've seen I think adapters for AirTags. Well, I could be mistaken. Like I said, I never looked at them that closely because I'm not with Apple. I don't do Apple stuff. Uh, but I'll keep an eye out. I better make a note. If I write it down, there's a chance I'll remember. My other pad. So we wanted to. I did this one. So we want to look at AirTags. AirTags L bracket. Okay. And you found a good deal on SD cards for my G9 Mark II. A 1 terabyte SanDisk V60 for 129 at UK. They were actually cheaper than the 512. Wow. So that's maybe 150 bucks US for 1 terabyte. That is a good deal. Because the 512 V60, I mean, the UK, I don't have a feel for pricing out there, but here in the US, I know there's some 512s on sale for $75. They're V60s. I do have those on my deal page. So that would translate to less than 75 pounds, right? For a 512. So 129 for a 1 terabyte sounds about right. Doesn't sound like it's a particularly good deal. But I don't have a feel for pricing over there, unfortunately. Maybe that is a great deal, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't pay 129 US dollars for 1 terabyte here for V60. Well, I would. That would be a good deal, but 150, that's a tough call. That's a good deal, but it's not stellar. I mean, if you need one, it's a good deal at 150 US dollars to get one now. But if you can wait, you can probably get a little better deal come Black Friday, maybe. But thanks for sharing that. That's it's always good to hear what's going on over the pond, as they say, across the pond. Leofoto on 3 grip or the Hogue? I'd have to compare the two. So let me look at them real quick, and I'll give you an opinion. Leofoto. Oh, I have the Leofoto. I know that one is good. So I'm going to pull that up, and then the Hogue. I think the Hogue is going to be cheaper, but oh, that's on AliExpress. Is there anybody local, kind of? Okay. Give me a second, and I'll put these up side by side. All right, so oh, hold on. Here you go. All right, so here's the Hogue on the left, right? And then here's the Leaf Photo. Now, the Leaf Photo cost about 20, well, about $15 more on any given day, maybe $20 more. I paid like 65 for mine. Sometimes they go for 70, depending where you get it from. But let's say you're going to pay 70, and here this goes on sale for like less than $40 on a regular basis. But let's take the retail prices. Let's say $45 and $70. There's a $25 price difference. That said, what does the Leo Photo offer that potentially the Hogue does not? What are you getting for $25? Well, it's not obvious on this particular image, but let's go to this image and see if they show a bottom plate. Oh, this doesn't show. I'll just leave it this way. I would get the Leo Photo because look what you get here. Right here, first, you get a little, where's mine? Mine should be right here. Okay, first of all, you got a little eyelet here to put a strap. Okay. Now, that's actually pretty handy if you want to carry your camera a little bit differently, say together with a long lens. This takes the stress off the eyelet that's on your camera when you're carrying heavier equipment and gear. So I like that. Number two, there's a magnetic. I already lost mine, but there's a magnetic key here. Mine fell out somewhere, so the magnet's not strong enough. I mean, it feels good when it's in there, but if you're out in the field a lot, you're going to lose it eventually. But there's a little key here to tighten and loosen any kind of flathead screw. You also have 5 quarter 20 threads, but there's a caveat to this. Okay, and I'll talk about that. And then you also have a cold shoe here, so you can so if you have multiple cold shoe devices, say like a flash and a microphone at the same time, or a light, LED light, and a microphone, you can mount them both at the same time with this single grip, right? Because you would put the mic, say, down here, and then you would put the light on top of your camera's hot shoe. So this is Yeah, this is the OM3 plate. I don't know why they're showing like uh, an EM10 Mark IV with an OM3 grip. It's kind of they got that picture messed up. But so to me, this little cold shoe, the additional quarter 20 screws on the bottom, the little eyelet here is a much better design. If you look at the one over here, all they have is a single quarter 20 thread, and that's it. No cold shoe, uh, no magnetic key. This uses an hexagonal type, screw thread, so it's not quite as common. So if you do need to remove your plate, you need to make sure you remember you bring your hex key with you. But other than that, functionally it's the same, right? It has the Arca Swiss plate, protects the bottom of the camera, standard Arca Swiss grip on the bottom, and then hand grip. So that's a long answer, but the short answer is the Leaf Photo I think is a better grip. But if you're on a budget and you just want to add a grip to your camera, you don't care about the quarter 20 threads or the cold shoe or the little eyelet. But the little eyelet here on the side, like I said, takes the stress off this here because I've broken this before on other, not this camera obviously, but other cameras. Because I used to carry it was my Nikon D 7100 back in the day, and I always had like that Tamron 150 to 600, that giant honking lens, and yeah, all that weight eventually this broke. So this is really nice to take stress off the camera. Okay, now the quarter 20 threads, there is a caveat here. These are not very deep. So a lot of quarter 20 thread accessories like tripods and things, whatever, these are not very deep. So you might have to put, and I have a bunch of these that I got at the hardware store, but a lot of times I'll use washers to supplement the shallow depth of the quarter 20 thread. So that's something you need to think about. Because these washers are handy as, to unscrew things, right? But also as spacers when the quarter 20 threads are not deep enough. But other than that, and then the other thing is mine came with an L bracket. So I'm thinking about taking it off. I don't use this very much, but you can still center your camera, but you have to mount it on your clamp a little bit off center. And it's fine. I mean, you're not it's stable enough. It gets enough bite, but this is very, very short, and it does restrict, even though it's cut out, it does restrict the movement a little bit. Uh, so, like for example, it doesn't allow you to go all the way out this way. And I was having another problem. Maybe I forget what I was doing. I forget what I was doing. It doesn't restrict it too much, but there is a little bit of a restriction even when it's cut out like this. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it's when you want to swivel it out and point down, right? Like over your head. That's where it's a little bit of a problem. I can't have it point down too much. I forget what I was doing that I was like, damn it, I can't point the screen down with this on there. But it's perfectly fine for tilting up, which is probably 99% of what you're going to do. But there was a situation where I was trying to point down. It was probably some macro work or something. I don't know. Okay. So that's my opinion. Let's see if they have a price. $69. Okay. If it comes with the L bracket, they're not showing it in the picture. But to me, that's not a deal breaker. If it comes with this or not, it's not a deal breaker for me. It is handy time to time, but okay. Let me go back to the chat, catch up with you guys. What about a day? Hey, Intrigue. Oh, I got your email. Thanks, by the way, for that. Um, what about a desktop multiple battery charger for the OM1 Mark II? Oh, okay. I do have one that I can recommend. I think I don't think I put it on this page. So what you need to do is when you go to my deal page, click on my name over here. And then right here is the OM system group. And it's going to be in here. So I think it's this one, yeah. This is the one that I've been using for years and years and years. Well, 3 years, right? As long as I've had the camera. $12.99. I wouldn't get the batteries with it because when you add a battery, it's like they're asking $20 for a single battery, $22. I would just buy an OEM battery, but let me uh let me explain why I like this one. So this, yeah. So I have a couple of variations of this charger. I have this one where the LCD display is up here, right? So, you know, the little indicator, it takes both USB-C and USB-A, the old micro USB port. And you'll notice that the plates, I have them labeled, right? Like here's the other variation that I have of this charger. This is for my OM1. I'm sorry, OM1. This is for my Pentax. These plates are all interchangeable. So if I'm going to go out with my OM1 and Sony, for example, I can just swap these plates out. They're all interchangeable. If you have multiple camera systems, if you don't have multiple camera systems, you're not going to care about this. But now I can go out with my Sony and my OM1 and charge them, get both those batteries ready, the spares ready in this charger at home, in one go. So that's why I like these. So whenever I buy battery chargers, desktop battery chargers for like home, then uh, I make sure that the plates are removable, and I inspect I've tried multiple variations. These two are compatible with each other. You just have to be careful of the voltages. Some of these are designed for like the smaller batteries that are only 3 volt, whereas these are like 7, 8 volt batteries. But the ones that I'm showing you here are perfectly fine. Uh, so that's why I like these. So this is the one I would get. It's not a fast charger. And if you're charging at home, you don't really need a fast charger anyway, for the most part, because uh, when you charge a battery fast, it shortens the lifespan. You're going to get fewer recycle times. So I'm perfectly fine with charging at a slower rate, to when I'm charging at home. When I'm out in the field, I want it as fast as possible. So I'll use a fast charger like the Alanos that I showed you. Uh, and that's why I like the Alano that has the case, right? This Alano, when I'm on the go, I can these are my Sony ones. I can put these in and just get going. And then plug this into a PD compatible power bank and I can charge on the go. They make these now with batteries built in too, but those are kind of big and bulky. It's not terrible, but they are big. So that's what I would do. Um, so it actually shows I bought this in 2022, so it's been over 3 years, and it's still working perfectly fine. And then uh, when you go to buy, let's say you have a Fujifilm, let's say you have a Panasonic, right? K-Star. I'm just using K-Star because I know they have it. Let's see if they have. I have one of these in my car. Let me show you something. You see this? This is the 3-volt version, right? 3.7 volt. So you don't want to use this charger. But that's what I was mentioning about being careful. What's this for? FCs? Yeah, those are the small cameras. Give me a second. I need to specify dual. I'm sure all of these plates work, although I didn't buy these. Well, I'll just pick this one just to give you an idea. But these plates are removable. So when I buy another dual charger, I make sure I get the ones with the removable plates. That way I have maximum flexibility because I have so many cameras and they all use different batteries. And it's really helpful to save desktop space when I can just put two in one like this with a single charger. But that's the charger I recommend for home. It's more video centric, faster readout. Yes, that rings a bell. On the S5, S1 Mark II, right? It has like a stack sensor, maybe. Uh, and Marsha's here. Good to see you. And Randy Fox, a little late to the dance, but howdy from West Central Florida. Hello. And I wish the Leo Photo Grip had the option for an OM5. Just went to their page, couldn't find. Ah, yeah. Um, I have the whole grip for the OM5 on my page. That's the one that I use on my EM5 Mark III. It's fine, but yeah, the Leo Photo one is a little better. And Rob, did you hear there's a rumor for a Ricoh GR4 HDF and a Ricoh GR4 monochrome version? I've heard rumors about a monochrome version, but I don't know what the HDF is. And Sir Makari says, hello, everyone. Hope that you have a nice day. Thank you. I hope you have a good day too. Let me go back up. Okay, I think I got everything there. So, all right. So I spent a lot of time on those chargers, kind of fumbling around on that, but hopefully that makes sense, the recommendation I made there. Okay, let's go back to my deal page here. And I wanted to talk about this deal. So this looks really convenient, right? Uh, I got it in. I got mixed feelings though. I bought this, yeah, October 8th. It finally came in because I slow walk the ordering. But here it is. It came in the other day. And the reason I'm a little bit mixed on it. It is nice metal design here. There's plastic head, which I'm not crazy about, but it feels very well made. And it articulates this way and then it tilts, right? So it's more of a gimbal action, two-way gimbal action than it is a ball head. It's not really a ball head. And then you extend it by pulling it out, and this is really stiff. So it's a friction-based extension, and then pushing it back in is kind of the same thing. You have to kind of put your weight into it or a little bit of muscle in it to open and close it. So I'm not crazy about that. I wish it was more of a twist, extend, and twist back close. This takes a little bit longer for me to open and close. Also, the legs, you have to kind of, they're not really super easy to open up. I mean, I'm being picky, all right? But for $22, I'm being picky. But, you know, Amazon has a very liberal return policy, so if I'm not 100% into it, I can just send it back. Uh, it has a pretty wide base. For all intents and purposes, this is wide enough for what you're going to use it for. Like, I'm going to put my Insta360 or whatever on top here. It's perfectly fine. But closing it is kind of the same thing. It's a little bit, you unscrew this to loosen it, but you have to be careful when you close it because I've pinched my palm and finger snapping this thing closed because there's little gaps in here. Let's see if I can get the light on here. Right now it's a little bit open, but you see how I pinched that closed and then I pinched that closed? I was just squeezing it with my hand like this and I was like, oh, God, like it pinched my palm and I'm like, all right. And then it was kind of downhill from there. Then I was trying to extend it and I'm like, oh, come on. Really? So all that aside, it's very functional, very well made, and will do the job. But the workflow is just a little bit awkward for me between extending it out, collapsing it, and opening this thing. It's not, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not doing it right. But this whole thing, I just have to be a little bit careful. But I do like everything else about it. This is even a quick release on top. This comes out, so you get a little cold shoe there. So that was a pretty clever idea. And then you get a cold shoe quarter 20 plate. This is also plastic though. I wish this was metal. If this were metal, I'd be a lot happier, but this is also plastic. So eventually that has potential to break. I don't think this will break. This is very, very sturdy, nice thick plastic everywhere. But it is very tall, man. This thing comes up over my head, so I like that, right? Uh, but the thing you have to remember is this is generally you have to be on a flat surface like a sidewalk or boardwalk, level ground. You have to be pretty level. And if you're going to put something up that high, if there's any wind at all, a light breeze, you're going to need to put sandbags or something to weigh it down so that it doesn't tip over because the base, it is very wide. And I think up to about 3 or 4 feet, this is more than wide enough. You probably don't need to use sandbags. But if you're going to go up to 4, 5, 6, 7 feet high, you're going to need to have sandbags to hold this down. Whether you're on level ground or concrete, like a sidewalk, almost pinch myself again. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this something that would interest you? I mean, it might be the perfect solution for some of you, right? Like in a studio, this would be awesome because I could set this up in a corner, have a camera for a third person point of view or whatever, right? Uh, but for using it out in the field, I don't know. I just have mixed feelings if I'm actually going to be able to use this because of this. And but I do like how compact it is. This will fit in my side backpack very easily, but it's too big really to put in your messenger bag or shoulder bag. But this is perfect for a backpack. So what I bought instead, and it's cost less, is I bought an actual light stand, and this thing is great. This was 20 bucks, 19 and change. And this is also on my deal page. But this has like a normal workflow. And look at the length of the legs. The legs are really wide. And just the standard twist locks here, for quick extension and retraction, right? And once it's collapsed down, whoops, once you collapse it down, it's very, very small. In fact, it's taller when it's collapsed down, but it gets to about the same height as this does, almost. This one's still a little bit taller, but this one gets tall enough. And because of the huge legs, you can be on a little bit uneven surface even and still go up all the way. And I put my heavy light on here, my 300-watt LED light with a 30 by 90 softbox. I wouldn't do that outside, but in a studio, you can kind of get away with that with no sandbags. So it holds quite a bit. I mean, it's not really designed to hold things that heavy, but in a pinch, I was able to do it. But the main reason I got this is because when I go out in the field and I do, portraits outdoors and stuff, I wanted to be able to just pack a couple light stands very easily in my backpack, in the side pockets, uh, that are super lightweight, tall, and I can throw a couple of sandbags on them, and I'm good to go when I'm outdoors. Because even outdoors, even though the base, sometimes if I'm short on sandbags, I'll put the legs flat like this, and then I'll just use a single bare bulb flash with no modifier on it, no umbrellas, nothing, right? Then you're okay. You don't really need sandbags. You can just make the legs flat. But if you put a modifier on there, they're like a big wind sail, especially umbrellas. Then you're going to need sandbags no matter what. But I do have that on my page right here. This I'm very, very happy. I bought two of these. I'm very, very happy with these. I had no anxiety about it, unlike the Ulanzi one. This one yeah, this one I'm not sure I'm going to keep. I just can't imagine that I'm going to use this like they're showing here. So anyhow, there's that. Let me go back to the chat because this is all about you guys, not me, right? What are you guys looking for? What do you want? Uh, I agree with you about the friction system compared to the twist extend. Yeah, the friction is, and then one wrong push downward can slightly bend the post, and that would make it. Ooh, yeah, I didn't even think of that. You're right, though. Um, and Sri Marco says, "Is there a good point and shoot that worth over my smartphone under $500?" Yes. Uh, TG7, clearly. I like the TG7. I have a TG5. I was going to take it out yesterday, but somebody wanted me, some people wanted me to take out my deluxe, my Leica to compare it against, this guy. But we'll talk about this just for a couple of minutes. So the TG5, TG7, and I have a little baby Arca Swiss plate on here. I have this somewhere on one of my shopping pages. This is a great tiny, tiny plate. Anyhow, So we have a 25 to 100 millimeter zoom lens built in. We have macro capability. We have accessory capability. Like I have this accessory put on so I can do close-up macro with some lighting. There's other accessories too for flash, underwater, but this is probably the only one I'll get out of all the ones that are available. And then this has GPS and all kinds of other stuff in here. I forget how to turn that on. I think you do this, or no, it's this one. I forget. I don't use that feature much, but you can turn on this display so it'll work like a compass and GPS, like tell your altitude and all kinds of things. So it has some kind of neat gimmicky things, but this will do things your phone cannot, right? It has a true optical zoom up to 100 millimeter equivalent, has incredible macro capability. You can get like really, really close. I mean, unbelievably close. I can take a picture of my fingerprint actually. So what I'll do is I'll turn on my light. So now the light's on, put this into macro mode. It does 4K video. So we'll do, but yeah, it's not obvious. Yeah, it's really bright. But there's a picture of my fingerprint. I don't know if I can get it to expose for the camera. So you can do a lot of things with this that you can't do with your phone. That's the main one. It also has Pro Capture. Uh, if I recall, I hardly use that, but I have used it in the past. Continuous shutter, exposure comp. Yeah, customizable modes here. So I would get one of these, and it's very durable. I have dropped this thing. Not only dropped it, but I was running across the street, and this thing fell out of my pocket and rolled across the concrete like this, and it still works perfectly fine. And I've even burned it on this side with a heat lamp. You can see it melted a little. These things are rugged, man. Rock, I mean, really tough. And the image quality, okay, I have an album. I'll share the album with you. I'll link to it. So you can just look at the pictures for yourself. Um, okay, so here's my TG5 album. I only have 52 pictures. I need to update it a little bit, but I'll give you the link. I'll put this in the chat section. The TG7 is going to be very similar, if not identical, right, in terms of image quality. Um, all right, so here's some close-up comparisons. This is the LX100. This is a Micro Four Thirds camera versus the TG5. This is the straight out of camera raw. So you can see there's a little bit of softness here, but then when you edit the image, it's really close. Micro Four Thirds versus the TG5, which has a tiny, tiny sensor in it. And then what's down here? Oh, this is the straight out of camera images. Very, very similar. Because it does shoot raw. And then I'll give you another one. Here's some wildlife. Really nice, good detail there. And all the EXIF data is here. That's at ISO 640. And keep in mind, all of these were processed with DxO. Here's a great macro shot I did with the TG5. And these are a bit older. some night photography, low light. Here's some more pseudo macro stuff, but I mean, look at the detail you can extract out of this camera. It's amazing. Now, when you get into the shadow areas, you will see some noise and loss of details because it's a tiny sensor after all. But the idea is you want to make sure you have, like with any camera, regardless of sensor size, here's some macro stuff. This is like I think this is a nickel, a US nickel has the date on the US nickel. So this is the Micro Four Thirds 60 millimeter macro lens with extension tubes and a diopter. And I was able to do the same magnification, if not more, with the TG5. I didn't have good lighting with the TG5, but uh, yeah, I didn't have good lighting. But I try not to hide problems, right? I want people to see exactly what this camera's capable of. Of course, you can get shallow depth of field if you want to get really, really close like this. But I did this with the TG5. This is edited, but I didn't add blur or anything. This is the straight the blur, the depth of field is straight out of camera. Beautiful colors, great detail again. You can see the little fine twigs and branches. This was also processed, and I was able to do really, because it's a raw image, I was able to do really nice recovery of highlights and things. Here's another very high dynamic range scene. Great recovery of highlights and shadows. This is another good example. Great detail. So check out the album and give some thought to if this camera makes sense for you. Because the only other ones that come to mind, right, is like the Sony ZV-1. I think it's the ZV-1, right? Yeah, these are way up in price. So these are not $500 anymore. And then there's the Canon G7X. That's kind of new, right? They have lost their freaking mind. All right. Uh, how about this power shot? Ooh, yeah. So if you want to get a brand new camera, the TG7 is it. 500 bucks. It's on sale now, I think, for 500. It's normally 550. That is it. And if you want to go to a 1-inch sensor, I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything under 500 bucks with a 1-inch sensor unless you buy used. You can buy used 1-inch sensor cameras, but they're getting harder to find. Even like the old Panasonic LX10, that used to be under 500 on the used market, and now they're asking way too much. Okay. So, Sir Macari, I hope that helps. Let's not even talk about being pinched. I have a smaller version of that and have pinched my palm. I invented. Yeah, so we're on the same page with that, right? I kind of got it in, and I'm like, it's I can see it's practical once everything is set up, but it's getting from your bag to your thing, right? Uh, man. And then let me just say, oh, Sir Macari. Hopefully, I got that right. There are a lot of point and shoots on Amazon that are like $50 to $100. Okay, I have one of those too. Uh, well, I might have put it away. Yeah. Well, it looks just like my Canon. You used to be able to get these pretty cheap, but they're hard to find now. The old Canon Elves. But you'll see on Amazon generic versions of this. They'll claim like 48 or 64 megapixels, and they're selling for like 50 bucks. I mean, if your price point is like $500 or less, I'm sure you already know those cameras are not very good. They're fine for kids, that just want to putz around, that like want to take pictures, but those are not serious cameras. This 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 is actually not a bad little camera, but they're selling for $200-300 now, more than I paid for this brand new when I got it. But just avoid those cameras. You might as well use your cell phone. And then Ernest says, "What is better, DxO Photolab or PureRaw? What's the difference?" Okay, so Photolab is a complete photo editor, with gradient tools, local adjustments, highlights, shadows, sliders, color profiles, LUTs. It's like a full-on editor like Lightroom or Luminar or any of the other photo editing software, Capture One. It's more similar to Capture One and Lightroom than it is Luminar. Luminar is a little bit different. Pure Raw is simply for editing or for processing raw images. So what does that mean? It's limited to reducing noise and optical corrections, right? That's that's all it does. Whereas Photolab does optical noise and noise reduction, plus all of the editing tools, highlights, shadows, LUTs, color profiles, presets, horizon adjust, you want to adjust the horizon or change the perspective or do a crop. All of these things you can do in Photolab, like any photo editor. Pure Raw simply does noise reduction and optical corrections. So it's designed for people that already have a photo editor. So maybe they're using Lightroom. You would buy Pure Raw to use the DxO noise reduction and optical correction algorithms rather than Lightroom's. Because Lightroom has optical and noise reduction now too, right? But DxO is better, in my opinion. And it's worth $100 to get DxO, the Pure Raw. I think it's around $100, right, for the Pure Raw. It's worth it if you're using another photo editor to get that separately. Or if you want to convert completely, Photolab is a great photo editor. Okay, let me go back to my deal page. So we got some batteries, chargers, all really good deals now. Couple of bags. These bags, this backpack is awesome. $33. This goes on sale every couple of weeks. Then it goes off sale, then it goes back on sale. This bag used to be like $50, $60. Now it's like $33. The list price changes. Just ignore this. The list price changes all the time. Depends how much discount they want to show off, you know. But this is a great bag. 4.6 stars. Oh well, there's only 14 ratings, but if you want a nice canvas backpack, this is a great backpack for $33 from Mosisu. It's a good brand. This one's on sale. Oh, this was a lot cheaper yesterday. I think this was $19 yesterday. Today it's 29. It went up in price. For 20 bucks, I would recommend this. For 30 bucks, I'm going to pass. This is another bag that used to sell for $40, $50. Then they would say it was 50% off. But this bag is like $18 now. This is a good deal. So ignore this typical price and retail price. This is a great alternative to the Peak Design, $100, $200 6-liter bags. For $18, you're getting a bag that has a lot of pockets, dividers, it's well organized and it looks decently made. I know a few people have bought this and said they really liked it. Tripod straps on the bottom. So take your color of choice, gray, tan, black for $18. Uh, this insert, I know a few of you bought this, but if you have your own messenger bag or particularly backpacks, this is great for converting your existing backpacks and bags to a camera bag, but also a lot of camera backpacks have the pockets are too big and the dividers are too big. Our Micro Four Thirds and mirrorless cameras. So being able to put a little insert in to help divide things up even more can make a big difference. And a lot of backpacks they have top compartments. So let me show you mine real quick. So this is the backpack I use. This is the backpack that I use when I go on site, and I'll take my new light stands, and they fit nicely in the side pockets very easily. Excuse me, but uh, you can take that. A lot of backpacks now, the larger ones have these kind of open compartments in the top. You can put that back. You can put that insert in the top here, so you can use the top now instead of carrying clothes or whatever. You can carry more gear. But also a lot of backpacks, they just have too much space in them. And no matter how I arrange my dividers, a lot of times I can't get it exactly, even with the dividers set up in an ideal position, there's still too much space in here. So I bought this one earlier, but it's the same idea, right? Is you can put this in, and now I can fit all my Micro Four Thirds. So my 60 macro, my 25, my OM3 over here, maybe my 40 to 150, or you know my Alano battery chargers, things like that. I can fit everything in much neater and it's more protected. And then have over here like my 300, F4 Pro. But typically what I use this bag for is mostly flash. So I put my flash triggers, my Godox V1s, and my OM3 all in here. And then I carry additional like my 80, 200 flash, and then my light stands on the side. Then in the top here, I put power banks and cabling, stuff like that. And then in the back flap, I carry my monitor. Sometimes I bring an external monitor so the model or the client can see themselves while I'm taking their pictures. But okay, anyway, this is a little bit of a high-end backpack. It's like 200 and some dollars, but I would personally not buy a high-end backpack. Uh, I like budget gear, but they sent me that for review, and it is better than the budget backpacks. Obviously, there better be right for a $200 price point. But um, this bag insert, I'm just saying, this bag insert is very, very useful. Even if you have a photo camera backpack, you can add this in, and it's only $11. I rarely see these go on sale anymore. It's hard to find. The one that I have, I only paid $4 for because it was on a deal like this. But that was last year. I haven't seen deals like that all year. Here's a little $8. If you're really on a tight budget, this is like an $8 bag. It's small, 9 inch by 8 inch by 5 inch, right? But it's only $8.50. So this is great to keep in your car. Uh, because a lot of times you might bring your whole backpack with you of gear, and then all you want to bring is just one camera and a couple lenses. Or you want to put all your lenses in this bag with batteries and chargers because you're going to have your camera hanging over your neck. This is a great way to carry some extra lenses and accessories. Some lens adapters for Micro Four Thirds, Konica Minolta lenses Konica AR mount. Okay, that's not the Minolta mount. So Konica AR mount, that's the older Konica lenses. There's some great Konica lenses if you can find them in good condition. Their 135 was really stellar. And then here's a Canon EOS to Micro Four Thirds. So if you have any EF Canon glass, you can adapt those to your Micro Four Thirds. I think everybody I know has some Canon EF glass laying around. Here's a good tripod for $30. Metal ball head. That's all that I care about when we're talking about a $30 tripod. Metal ball head, metal legs, decently well made. At this price point, you can do a lot worse than this tripod here. A lot worse. And it's got good height and it converts to a monopod. $30. Now this carbon fiber, I forget who it was asking me about these last week, but this has a $15 coupon on it. So this is only a $75 tripod basically. And you're getting a carbon fiber ultra lightweight, and it has a decent height, max height of 53 inches, but it's really going to be probably closer to 42 inches. Well, they have a chart here. It's 45 inches without extending the center column. That's a pretty good height for a really compact tripod that compacts down to 16.5 inches. And what's the weight of this? Item weight? That can't be right. It's not zero point 0.4 kilos. It's it's zero point 0.7 kilos. 0.7 kilo tripod. That is super lightweight. Okay, that's half what I normally go for when I talk about travel tripods. Normally I'm thinking 1.5 kilos or less. 0.7 kilos, that's killer. Now, these compact tripods, it collapses down so it has a very, very small footprint. Like you can see how he's palmed it here. And so it's meaning it's going to be very easy to put in the side of your backpack, the little side pocket on your backpack, or just hang it around your strap on your shoulder bag. It doesn't weigh anything. 0.7 kilos, right? I can't believe that's such a good deal. Tabletop tripod for $15. This is okay. I wouldn't really use it for anything heavier than like an EM10 or an EM5, OM5. If you got an OM3 or OM1 Mark II, this is not really strong enough, despite what the claims they make, right? But this I ordered. I paid $29, I think, for mine. It was like one of those Prime Day deals. But at $33, this is still a smoking deal. Uh, this thing is rock solid. You could put anything on this. This has what, 11-pound capacity? I would say it could even hold more, in my opinion. But this tabletop tripod, this thing, it's not light. This probably weighs 1.5 kilos. Item weight is 27 ounces. So that's a pound and a half. So it's almost a kilo, a little more than a kilo for this thing alone, right? If I'm doing the conversion right in my head. But it has a great metal ball head. all metal construction here. You know, not my favorite style of uh, leg extensions, but because, this is the paint stick type, right? Where you twist, one twist unlocks them all at the same time. But on a small tripod like this, I don't mind it so much. And of course, the legs can be, adjusted all the way flat if I want. Spring-loaded clips. I mean, this little quarter 20 screw here, and you get a little bit of wiggle room, just enough. Because a lot of times, once you have your tripod set up, you might be off just slightly, and you need to raise it just a little bit. You don't want to have to like fiddle with the legs back and forth trying to get the height right. So it's nice that they have a nice little bit of a center column to give you that little bit of wiggle room for making adjustments. So I can highly recommend this tripod. Even at the even though it's about $4 more than I paid, it's still cheaper than all the other generic ones of this ilk. Because this comes in a lot of different names as well, right? And this is the newer version. But you'll see this in like a lot of generic names for 50, 45, $50 all day long. So $33 is a good deal for this tripod. And it's great, of course, for macro, close-up type photography, things like that. So there's that. That's a great tripod. Okay, little magic arm clamp. These are really useful if you like to attach monitors and accessories and lighting to your tripod. Second cameras. You can put two cameras on the same tripod, like a GoPro, and Anyway, these are very, very handy. I own several of these, and I use them not all the time, but time to time when I use them, there's no substitute, right, for something like this. There's the tripod. Okay, and then here are the memory cards. So here's a 512 for $76. Here's a 512 V60 card for $80. Either one of these are very good. And then here's a V90 card, I believe, for $180, 256. That's a good deal for a V90. But this thing is awesome. This little cable tester, I talked about it on Sunday's live stream. This cable tester is freaking awesome because what it does, it tells you what's going on with your cable. I'll give you a great example. I'll just share this one example. But I got boatloads of cables and they're all different. And I don't know what's capable of what. So it helps you make sure you get maximum data throughput with the devices that you're going to connect it to and maximum charging capability with devices you're going to connect to. And if the cable has data capability at all, I have one cable here, can't do data. It's charging only. When you try to run data through it, nothing happens. Nothing's connected. But the thing that really got me was I have this red cable and I have this silver cable. Now these are both supposed to be, you know, uh, 10 gigabit uh, data cables, right? USB, whatever. I forget the specs. And all you have to do is pick your color. These are both, Amazon Basic. I don't know if you can see. They were on the same. They were on the same page. You just pick the color you wanted, right? So I said, well, let me get one red and one silver. Why not, right? They should be exactly the same, but they're not. This one is the good one. So when I plug this in, it's very simple, right? You just kind of plug it in. And this device is battery operated, or you can operate it via USB power. But I can see that I have data 2.0 and 3.2. I have power compatibility with PD3, and PD 3.1 is not. I push this again, it gives me a pin layout. That's all beyond me what all that means. And then this is the resistance. I guess that's useful. But here's what I found interesting was you see there the speed USB 3, USB 4 generation 2 up to 20 gigabits. That's exactly what I thought I bought. Two of. But they only sent me one. Even though this cable is identical, it should be. When I plug this one in, let me turn this off. Yeah, look at it now. USB 3.2 Gen 1, 5 gigabits. So this cable, even though I bought them basically at the same time, this cable is four times, this cable's 4 times faster, up to 20 gigabits over this one. And I didn't even look at the power specs, but you know, and this is why I was struggling with some of my devices, my card readers, my SSD drives, and hooking them up to my cameras to offload images sometimes, doing firmware updates. There's all kinds of problems you can run into when you start collecting cables like I do. Because, a lot of devices, they come with all these cables. And the next thing you know, you got a spaghetti full of stuff. And you don't know what the hell is what anymore. So, uh, 40 some dollars will definitely give you some peace of mind and save you a lot of headaches and confusion and potential problems. If you're trying to do a firmware update on a cable that's not designed for data, it could be a problem. Because our cameras are getting really sensitive now because they all use USB-C now, and they have to have a certain number of pins and specifications for things to work properly. So always use the cable that came with your camera, but sometimes you lose that cable and you want to use another one. Now you can, it's worth it. It's so worth it because you could spend $40, $50 on a cable, right? I think I spent $10 on those cables, but all I'm saying is, yeah, this device is a must-have if you have, a spaghetti of cables. Now, if you're very meticulous with your cables, when maybe it's not a big deal, but I know I'm at a point where I have so many cables, and I think many of us are, that we need something like this. Okay. The DJI mics, these are awesome. I ordered this one, $99. This is 41% off, and this is a great mic. So I'm going to start using this for my vlogging. This is great. High quality, really good sound too. And then let me just check the deal page one more time. There's some oldies but goodies in here. Oh, this was $99 yesterday. I bought a couple of these. They're great. I paid more than $99 for mine, but I didn't pay 169. I know that. Wait for this to go on sale. Don't buy this now. This goes on sale all the time. Like every other month, that thing will go on sale. But this is a good deal. This one has AC plugs on the back and is essentially the same thing, but it's only 100 watts instead of 200 watts. Most devices, and it's $59. Most devices, you don't need 100 watts. If you're going to be powering LED lights and high power things like that, maybe a laptop, yeah, you might want to get the other one, 240 watt. But for the 100-watt one, for charging your cameras and charging your batteries and charging, all these little triggers and phones, we have so many devices that charge USB-C now. The tiny flashes, the 100-watt one here is awesome for $59, and it's Anchor. It's premium brand. Okay, here's one from Base US or Basis. 67 watt, again, perfectly fine for charging your flashes, your triggers, your cameras, batteries, phones. Plus, it has the AC ports. So this is a great desktop unit for 30 bucks. If you don't want to get the Anchor brand, I can recommend this. This is a really good little charger. Here's one for your car. 69 watt adapter, retractable plugs. Again, those little battery chargers that I showed you earlier that I carry in my car, I use this to charge them while I'm in my car. What you have to be careful though is this one is pretty big, right? They do sell small ones without the retractable cables. And this is $17. That's a really good deal. Plus 10% off potentially with the coupon clip there. These things, you know, you, even though it's rated 69 watts, I would not try and run your laptop or LED lighting or anything like that. Only use it to charge your like phone batteries, your camera batteries, maybe your little tiny flash batteries and flashes. Don't try to charge your laptop or other high draw devices because that thing, the cheaper, the really, I don't know about this one specifically, but the cheap ones, and I would assume this one falls in that category, meaning they don't have heat protection circuits. So if they do have a heat protection circuit, that's good. But then the drawback is when you're drawing, say, 50 watts or more, like running an LED light or a laptop, it's going to lower the power output down to like 1 watt or 2 watts until it cools down and then ramp the power back up. So if it has a heat protection circuit in it, you're not going to get steady power when you're running high draw devices. If it doesn't have a heat protection circuit, it's just going to melt your cigarette plug lighter or your power plug, and melt the adapter and potentially cause a fire. Uh, so I'm just telling you now, never draw high power thing devices off of that are going to be 50 watts or more because you're going to melt. You're going to melt, or you're not going to get the power you were expecting because of the heat protection circuits. The only way to really charge things that are high power draw in your car, they're ugly, but they're bigger. They're a bigger box that have a separate cord that plugs into your power outlet in your car, and then a separate box separate from the cord. And that has all of the heat and heat management and protection is done in the box outside separately from the plug. And then that will draw so long as you keep, it doesn't get overheat, but it's less likely to because it's bigger. When one of those goes on sale, I'll let you know, but I haven't seen any on sale. And everything else in here, these are all great little items. I love this L plate. I love these diopters here, snap-on macro lenses, the filter wrenches. There's some good lenses on sale for Sony and Fuji and OM Systems, all kinds of stuff down in here that I'm not going to get into today because I've covered this stuff a lot in the past. I love this diffuser. This is great. All of these are really useful. And of course, analog AA batteries. All right, I'm going to go back to the chat section and this side towards screen says, if you were going on a 5-day retreat holiday, what camera or cameras would you bring and how many? 5 days, no question, OM3. That would be number one. Number two would be the Pentax monochrome. Those would be the minimum for a 5-day. Uh, and then I would bring maybe a compact camera like the Deluxe 8, something like, is this charged yet? Yeah, it's charged. All right, so I dropped it this morning. Oh, so stupid. I dropped. I'll show you some pictures I took this morning. But thankfully, it was in this case. So I got a little chip here. It's probably hard to see. I got a little chip here. It dropped there and then it fell over this way. So I got a chip over here too, now in the corner. I'm pissed. I think a little dab of black paint or something would at least make me feel better. I don't know. But thank God it was in this case is metal. It has a metal plate. I always buy full metal plates for my thing, and then I also have the baby Arca Swiss plate on here. So if I want to mount it on a tripod, I can use any of my Arca Swiss plate or Arca Swiss clamps. So those would be the three, maybe the TG5. Those would be the camera bodies, and then whatever lenses, you know, uh, it would it kind of depend on what I'm thinking about shooting. I would even consider maybe this little 360 camera with the handle. I'm gonna try and get the review done on this today or tomorrow. Oh, I'm gonna try. What's today? Tuesday? Maybe tomorrow. This is cool. I don't know. It depends on where I'm going, but yeah, it would definitely be the OM3 12 to 45, 40 to 150 kit lens, and 75 to 300. Those would be the three lenses I bring, and then maybe the 25 1.4s, one of the primes. And then I would bring this Leica Deluxe 8. I don't know if I would bring this because my OM3 with 12 to 45 is pretty much it's bigger, but it's it's manageable, the same as this. So I probably wouldn't bring this, come to think of it. I would definitely bring this and my Pentax monochrome. Those would be the two. For the Pentax monochrome, I would just bring the two lenses that I like. I would bring the 17 to 50 Sigma 2.8 and the Sigma 8 to 16, I think, a super wide angle. Those two lenses for the Pentax. And then maybe this TG5. I can just throw this in my pocket, right? This would be kind of fun to have, but it depends where I'm going. If I'm going to the beach, I would definitely take this. If I was going, depends on where I was going. If I was going to a museum, I wouldn't bring this. But I'm trying to narrow down my choices, but it's so hard. Oh, so you're going on a 5-day trip. Yeah, I would just I can't remember what cameras you have, but for me it would be the OM3 and Pentax monochrome. That would be it. I can't think of maybe an action cam, either this or the TG5. If I was going to do any vlogging or video at all, I'd probably use this. If I was going to just do photos primarily, I'll use this. And I just like doing monochrome in a Pentax, and it's a great camera. And the great Vanzini's here. Good to see you. And Jeff, good to see you. And John says, FYI, the OMDS outlet has the TG7 on sale. Oh, cool. So the outlet is a refurb, right? They basically new. I've heard stories otherwise, but my experience with the outlet store has always been, exemplary. I got basically a brand new camera for good discount. So thanks for sharing that. So the TG7 is a good deal. $418. It's a great, great camera. And Paul says, with all the older cables, I have gotten to tagging them with flexible labels so they look so similar, especially if their ends are not labeled with speed or power ratings. Yeah. Yeah. And a paint pen. I've tried like permanent markers, but it just wears off after a while. I just keep certain cables in like these little pouches that I know are a certain rating that I want to use for something. So I have this one. I keep different cables in this bag. Like these cables are like the camera OEM original camera that came with the camera. That's what's in here. This is for the Starlink. And the most recent cable I bought, luckily, is labeled Thunderbolt 4. So that I don't have to do anything. But I got this mess of cables that I tried labeling. I put a little piece of tape. So that helps. But then I found out that this cable, even though I labeled it 3.0, there was something wrong with it. And now I don't use it anymore. Like this red cable. Something's wrong with this red cable. This should have been 20 gigabits, but it's not. It should have been the same as the silver. So I can't find a decent L bracket at a reasonable yeah, I know. They're all like, you know, 50 to $100 minimum. A lot of people recommended the three-legged thing. Uh, how much is this one? This is also $100. A lot of people like this one. I have the RRS OM-1. Let me see. I have this one, $80, but it's not an L bracket. The other thing you can do is you can get the little L bracket that I got that is $35. Okay, where is it? I just had it right here. Oh, here. So, for example, here's my here's my OM1, right? This is $35. This is also from Really Right Stuff, I think. Oh no, this is small rig. So it has a bunch of quarter 20 threads and 3/8 threads everywhere. There's more on the bottom. I put a thing in there for something. But this has a standard Arca Swiss clamp on it. So if you already have an Arca Swiss plate on your camera, any Arca Swiss plate, you can get this and just add the L bracket whenever you need it. So of course it's not going to fit when I want it to. What am I doing wrong here? This one's not quite big enough for this. Wow. But it does clamp on. But you can clamp it on very quickly like that with the Arca Swiss plate. It doesn't fit this particular Elbra, this particular plate though. But I have used it on my OM3, my Leo Photo one. Like here's my Leo Photo. This is why I was thinking about taking this off, is because I can just use this. And now I can just, mount it like that. And then when I'm done, I just take it off very quickly. I don't have to like screw it on and off. So I like this idea. For me, this is going to be my solution going forward because I can use this on anything. Like I have my little baby. All right, I have my little baby Arca Swiss plate on like my LX or Deluxe. I would have to rotate this around, but if I wanted to L bracket, my Deluxe 8, I would just rotate this around. Oh, actually, this Deluxe 8's a little bit too small. How about this guy? So this is not the perfect solution. Then I would have to rotate this around, right? Oh, so you need to have a little bit bigger. These baby plates don't work; they're too small. But just about anything else, like I have a full plate on my thing here on my Sony. Fits my Sony one just fine. And then when I'm done, so if I'm thinking I'm going to be doing landscapes or panoramas and things, I'll bring this with me, and I don't have to worry about plate because I have the full plates, but maybe you just have a regular Arc Swiss plate. This will work. Okay. Uh, is the 360? Yeah, it's fully waterproof down to like 50 meters or something. I don't know what the specs are exactly, but yeah, you can go scuba diving with it or snorkeling at least. My TG7 was a bit more, 450 or so, but yeah, refurbed and no problems. Okay, cool. And I'm heading to Cape Cod, very quiet at this time of autumn, so mostly landscapes, DSLR with lens, a pocket point and shoot, maybe a more zoom. Yeah, that sounds good. That should be fine. Don't overthink it. And Serge says thanks. Okay. Uh yeah, I'm sorry, Serge. I didn't demonstrate that too well, but I have this on my page. Just look at this and see if this makes sense to you. It's this one. This is on my deal page, but it's just a little L bracket. Uh there's a good picture of it. So I don't know. I don't know what you have on your OM1 now. If you have a simple Arca Swiss plate on there now, then all you need is to add this time to time, right? And the beautiful thing about this is I can use this on any camera. If you buy an L bracket for your OM1, if down the line you get the Mark III or you buy a Sony or Fuji camera, you can just use this on whatever camera system you got. That's what I love about this. There's some cable management things in here. It wasn't really designed to be an L bracket, right? But uh, there is an Arca Swiss plate down here as well. So you can mount it onto your Arca Swiss clamp, cable management, and this is standard Arca Swiss. So like I said, I just noticed it's not perfect for everything. Like this little tiny clamp, it doesn't work on this tiny one. And it didn't really fit my OM1 Really Right Stuff clamp. But it fits just about everything else. It fit the Leo Photo and the Sony and also the Canon it fit. I don't did I have this page up? This is the page I was trying to show you. This thing. That's what I paid. I paid $35. Okay. Let's see, where's my chat window? I just got on, we'll rewatch. Oh, hey Roger, how are you? So, but you need to slide it when you want to change the battery. Yes. So let's see. On my OM1, if you want to talk about the OM1, where did I put it? Here. The battery is up here. the clamp goes down here. So it's not blocking the battery door, right? This one is this plate is a little bit big, but you know, unless you're talking about your Arca Swiss plate blocking the battery door. But if you get the Arca Swiss plate, the square ones, because the screw is down here, you can get a square Arca Swiss plate, clamp this to that, and it shouldn't block the battery door because the clamp goes on this side. Right? Does that make sense? Maybe I'm maybe I'm missing something, but I think that you don't need to slide it off to change the battery. Talking about the Nissi L bracket. Oh, let me see what that is. The Nissi NLP-SG. Oh, yeah, full on L bracket. Yeah, this guy, right? Yeah, that you have to slide and remove. Adjustable. But it's all a compromise. Everything has some compromise. Uh, oh, I'm sorry, I missed this comment. I saw someone using a Nissi L bracket. It cost 37 euros. Yeah, you would need to slide it. So I have a generic L bracket like that. Where do I put that? I use it sometimes. The generic L bracket. But the Nissi has an adjustable the let me show you again. You see down here, you can slide the screw all the way up here, and then you won't be blocking the battery door. So you'll be okay, if that makes sense. I would show you on mine, but I can't find mine right now. I could have sworn it was right there. The only other place it could be is in this container. Oh, here it is. So this is like a $13 one, okay? Or $15 generic. It doesn't have the cutout. You can get the ones with the cutout, but uh, where's my OM1 now? So with the OM1, you would just slide this all the way to the other end, the screw to the top, and then you would mount it here. And you can see it's not blocking the battery door if I slide it down. So you would mount it this way, and then you would have it. So the Nissi one will work, but if you want to carry the camera, you don't want to be mounting the cell bracket on and off all the time. You probably want to pack the camera like this, right? Where in that case, yeah, it would be blocking the battery door. But if you just mount it one time to your camera, well, then you could just slide it down like this. This just doesn't pack well in a backpack, right? Because it takes up a lot of room. When people think of an L bracket, people think of mounting it like this, very tight to the camera. But this one, you'd have to mount it this way. Then the L bracket wouldn't be blocking the door, which is right here. So you could do the Nissi thing. And that will certainly keep everything nice and square, right? With the because this has the potential to move a little bit, like not be completely square. If your Arca Swiss plate that's on your camera is a little bit off, but like the Leo Photo one, it's a full plate, so this is always going to be square with the camera. And when I mount this, it'll be square with the tripod. But if I use like a smaller plate, I don't think I have any cameras with a small. Oh, here, like here's my Pentax, right? I got one of the square plates. Let's say this is how you have your OM1 right now. Then I would mount this. Oh, it's tight. But yeah, I would mount this like that. But if this plate is not square with the camera, the camera can be pointing up and down a little bit. I don't know how precise you need to be in your landscape photos, but this is a little bit of risk because I can turn this. See, I can turn this now. Now it's not square. I mean, in this plate, you would have to kind of worry about the same thing. But okay, anyway, I know we're kind of overthinking it, right? When we're shopping for these things, right? It's always in the details that makes something useful long term or not. Because I have so many things in that box I just opened up that I thought would be useful, but then there's some detail that says, this is not that it's not as perfect as I thought it would be, right? I can show you the crap in this box. Some of it's still useful, but a lot of it's not. Like I took off the L part on a lot of the brackets that I use. This is a rail of some kind. Various cold shoe mounts. This is a great magic arm, but it's a little bit too small. I should have got a longer one. So I don't use it that much. It's just a little bit too small. And I use this thing very early on. I don't know. You people that have known me a long time, have been on my channel for the last 10 years, you might remember this. I used this with my Pen PL8. This was actually really useful. But I've since gotten better solutions. God knows what these things are. So that's partially why I do these shopping streams because I'm trying to save you guys a little bit of trouble or try to point to some details, pros and cons of these little things, right? Even though it's like a $10 item and I'll make like 50 cents, it doesn't matter. I'm here to help you guys to get the best deal and to get the right product. All right. Maybe let me check the chat. If there's nothing else, I might just call it here. I can show you a few pictures I took this morning, maybe. Is your all-in-one Arca Swiss plate on one of your pages? The one, oh, it is not. Uh, I have it's actually a gift from Marco. Because I was like, I don't want to spend $100 on a freaking plate. I was going to wait for third party generic plates to come out for like $40, and they never did. But I'll show you. It's on B&H. I might be able to give you a link for B&H. Um, B&H has some good deals today. I'll show you those too. So let me get a link real quick. Okay, there's the link. It's going to take you to this page. Uh, this is the one that I have, this $80 one. It was $99. It must have come down. But that's the one that I have. It's pretty beefy though. Rock solid. Uh, so it's going to add some heft to your camera, but it's rock solid and it's going to keep it square. But that's the one that I have. And yeah, it's a good compromise, right? This little L bracket. So yeah, I mean, I thought I don't know. Either way, you can get these generic ones. You don't have to buy the Nissy. You can get a generic one for about $15. Uh, and screw it on and off, where you can get this thing that has, I put this quarter 20 adapter. I was doing something, I can't remember. But I like that this has some additional screws and stuff to do other stuff. But this was a great idea. I mean, I bought this, but it doesn't quite fit this Peak Design style clip. It fits on there, but not, it doesn't go all the way. So it's a little bit tight. Yeah, it's a little snug on that one. So this there's not a lot of tolerance here on the plate, on the clamp, I should say. The clamp is very, very, very tight, but it works for my 013 Leaf photo, and that's all I really care about. All this other stuff, I'm just trying to show you, but okay. Oh, it's American, so very expensive. Okay. Uh, all right. So let me show you a couple of pictures. Let's see. Maybe I shouldn't because I haven't processed them at all. Or is it just the JPEGs? So this is, I think this is, yeah, this is my Deluxe 8. I just imported these, but I went out this morning. Some of these are pretty cool. I like this, very industrial with the airplane. This one's blurry. So this one I shot, and I wanted to see if I could frame the airplane flying inside here. So I tried. This one was too far. This one I missed. And then I tried some other things. Like this one is pretty good. I like that photo. And let's see. I was trying this airplane again, trying to frame it in different ways. Uh, there's some trails behind it too, which I kind of like. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I'm going to try and when I edit these, I'm going to try and amplify. Here's another one I thought might be pretty good, but nah, I didn't like this pole. So I moved. I said, okay, let me try from this angle. And then I waited for the plane to come back. And then I got this shot. It's crooked. I think these wider shots are better. Um, and then the sun finally started to come up. So I started thinking, oh, I love this. This is a beautiful shot. Um, so I thought I'd frame, and there's some steam now that the sun came out. You can see a little bit of like mist coming up off the water. It's hard to see, but yeah. So I'm going to try and accentuate that in the post processing. And then finally, this plane flew over, but there were birds down here now. So I was like, okay. So I got this bird and the plane flying together right there. So I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, I was just having fun. And then missed focus. It was really struggling. But I finally got focused. This is going to be a really good shot once I post process it. I got this silhouette of these boaters here crossing over the sunrise. I think that's going to be really nice. And then once they got out of the sun, that the shot got pretty normal. But here, I underexposed this by I was negative 1.6 EV. Yeah. Let's see. This was kind of an interesting shot with the waves. This is the waves caused by the boat going by. So all the birds, they flew off when the dock started floating up and down, made them nervous, so they flew off. But I like the little ripples of water here. So I'm gonna see if I can do something with that. And then here's another silhouette shot. I thought this was pretty nice. This is an interesting shot. I like all the layers here. Then you can see a silhouette of some birds in here. I like that. And then of course the plane, and then also another streak. So there's a lot of interesting elements in this picture. Let's see. And then the sun started to get up too high. I try to get this boat again. So this boat, I find that I got it together with the plane and the boat together. But now I got lens flare. So I don't know. This shot doesn't really work. Now the plane's directly above. And then I tried doing some framing. This is my Deluxe 8, so the lens is not great in this. I thought this tree arching over was interesting. So I waited for a plane to fly over. So I was practicing the framing here. And I said, the vertical is not great. So I went to a horizontal, then the plane started to come, and then I framed this. And then there's him flying over. That didn't work, so I gave up on that. That's him landing over there. And then this guy came out with his dog. He's a really nice guy. I talked to him for a little bit. So I tried to frame a couple of shots of his dog. I don't know if I did this right or not with the sun behind this pillar. Uh, at the time, I thought it was a good idea, but now I'm second guessing that. Here's an interesting reflection shot. What did I take this for? Oh, no reason. At this point, I was getting desperate because the light was so uh, normal now, right? But I wanted to get another reflection shot of these three sailboats. So I went from that angle, then I went to this other angle, and now the water's getting a little bit ripply, so I'm struggling a little bit. And then I try to get some like mist focus. This didn't work at all. And then this is another reflection shot that didn't work at all because now we're in the shade. So this would be a better shot because when the sun sets, it's going to be over here. So this will be a better shot in the evening at sunset rather than sunrise, because at sunrise the sun hasn't come up high enough to illuminate the boats, and then when it is high enough, it's not going to be that nice. So that's what I did this morning, just before the stream started. I went out and I did all that, uh, took those shots. Okay, so everyone, thanks for joining me today. I hope you found some of the things I showed today useful and practical and a good deal. There are some good deals in there. I like. Also check out B&H. I have links down below to the B&H deals. There's some really good deals there on the Sam's SSDs and memory cards, but particularly the SSDs. Check those out. I vetted a couple of them. They look like a good deal. But cross-reference with other places as always. And then yeah, the cable tester. That's kind of my favorite purchase of the week, and this little mini tripod. I like this tripod, the light stands I bought. I would say I'm returning this. Yeah, I'm gonna return this. I thought it'd be practical, but yeah, I'm returning this. I'm definitely keeping this tripod though, man. So that's it. You guys have a great rest of your week. I should be back on Friday for a photo editing stream and then Sunday for the photo chat. So you guys have a great rest of your week. Eat healthy, exercise, and I'll see you again soon. Oh, wait. Roger says, do you ever, last minute question here, do you ever go to manual focus with peaking to get back to the film days? Very rarely. Only for macro photography do I do that. Or if I use an adapted lens. It's very rare though. I used to do it a lot, but not so much now. Okay, now I'm gone. You guys have a great